Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinker Studio. In this tutorial we will be looking at lighting in Blender 2.8. Specifically, we will be exploring the point light. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more Blender and Godot tutorials. So let's get on with the tutorial. I'll briefly talk about the common settings between the lights and some differences between the Cycles render engine and Eevee when it comes to lighting. There are two common settings among all lights. The type defines the shape of the light, and the color is the tint of the emitted light. If we select the light in the default scene and open up the light tab, we see that we have four light options: point, sun, spot, and area. Let's start off by looking at the very basic light called the point light. The point light is an omnidirectional light. It is like a bare light bulb in a room in that it generates energy in all directions. Surfaces that are further away will be rendered darker. In render mode, if we move the point light up and down along the z-axis, we can see how the light fall off affects the lighting of the cube. If we move the light to the top center of the cube, we now see that there is very little fall off onto the sides and the bottom of the cube. If we move the point light off to the one side edge of the cube, we notice a very different fall off of light. Let's look at the options available to us. We have a preview window that will show us what the light will look like in the scene. We can change the color of the light using the light picker. If we change the color to a bright yellow, we now see that the cube has a yellow color highlight added to it from the point light. We can also add a second color by simply adding a second point light. And then we can just change the color. Now notice that the second point light is weak and you cannot really see the second color. We can change how weak or strong the point light is by changing the power option. The power option is the power of the light in watts. The higher the value, the more intense the light. If we increase the power to 1000 watts, we can easily see the light's color on the cube. The rest of the options available are different for the Eevee and the Cycles render engines. We will start with the options available in the Eevee render engine. The specular light option is a light intensity multiplier and is used for more artistic control. Anything other than a 1 will provide non-photorealistic results. The radius controls the softness of the shadows. The larger the radius, the softer the shadows. Let's add a plane. and then scale it up. If we change the radius to 15, you can see how much softer the shadows are on the plane. The custom distance option is a way of customizing the attenuation distance, meaning how the light appears to pass through a surface. The distance specifies where the light influence will be set to 0. If we change the distance to 2, notice how dark the edge of the cube becomes. The light influence is set to 0 quickly, so the cube appears darker. The clip start for the shadows is the distance from the light object at which the shadow map starts. Any object before the clip start will not appear to cast a shadow. The bias reduces self-shadowing artifacts. Contact shadows fix light leaking caused by bias or shadow map undersampling. The distance deals with the ambient occlusion. The bias is applied to the ray tracing to reduce the self-shadowing artifacts. And the thickness is used to detect occlusion, treating any occlude as thick. So let's change to the Cycles render engine and go back to the Light tab. The size controls the softness of the shadows. The larger the size, the softer the shadows. This is the equivalent of the radius in the Eevee render engine. Max bounces references the maximum number of bounces the light will contribute to the scene. This has been a quick overview of the point light in Blender. The other lights will be inspected in future videos. If you found this useful, please leave a like and subscribe. Have a good day.